Sure thing, boss. I will follow the GPS. I drive a concrete truck and we deliver ready-mix concrete throughout a fairly large area. Keep in mind, concrete has a shelf life of 90 minutes once water mixes with the cement, and this is very important on spec jobs. Our company uses a routing and tracking system that I will call the terrible system. If there's a good route or less than good route, it chooses the worst of all routes possible. After working with it a short time, it was noted, and during training, new drivers are told to use it for the final part of the route only. Problem is, every time someone doesn't follow a route, an alert is sent to management, and early in using Terrible System, managers found a way to turn these off. However, a new manager started, and after a year, he brings up in meeting drivers are not following the Terrible System routing, and multiple times we tell him it gives the worst and longest routes, but he doesn't listen. After 6 months, he states drivers will be written up if we continue to not follow Terrible System routing. Drivers don't listen, and a few days after this pronouncement, a fellow driver is written up, and this is talked about. Cue malicious compliance. The next day on my second load, I have a load to location I had before. It's 15 miles east of the plant and then 10 miles on a north leg. Following that route takes 45 minutes or less, and we had been going to this job site for 3 months by this time, and new Terrible System gave a much longer route. I was first truck of 4 and noted on the radio that we needed to follow the system route as directed, and off I go. The route is taking me southeast 13 miles, north on Interstate Highway for 35 miles, including a chicken coop, way station for non-truck drivers. Trucks are chronically overweight for interstate. Fast forward through a large metro area for 20 miles, followed by the last leg south for 15 miles, and then takes 125 minutes for me. The Terrible System gave an estimated travel time of 140 minutes, so I actually did well. I arrive and I'm timed out, rejected, and that cost the company $1,000 for concrete, not to mention the 20 gallons of fuel I burned. Second and third truck are the same, and the fourth truck was stopped at the chicken coop and had to pay the company a $500 fine. The customer is pissed, calls the manager screaming, and the manager asks to talk to me. I tell him that we follow the Terrible System as directed, and he can check that easily, and the next day in the break room, a sign is posted stating drivers are to use professional discretion in choosing the best/most expeditious route to jobs. Honestly, I'm just more impressed that it seems like every system that a company spends a bunch of money on just sucks absolute butthole. Like, you would think if you're gonna outfit all of your cement trucks with GPS units, you would put them in your car, drive around with them, make sure it's the most efficient route, make sure it's good at what it does. They really spent tens of thousands of dollars on equipment for literally no reason because it has the GPS navigation skills of someone in 1942 in a different state. Can't Google the address this time, Jimmy. Whip out the map and start using your topography lessons from Boy Scouts. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the subreddit Malicious Compliance, which is one of my favorite subreddits. Pretty great stories, pretty entertaining one, so I figured it would be a good time. Be sure to press the like button, otherwise you'll be stuck in a cement truck, and without further ado, let's go. Don't stop painting the mural? Sure thing, boss. For the last 3 years, I've worked as a muralist for a mural company. It's hard work, but also rewarding. As I was beautifying public spaces, I had a good boss, and he was a skilled painter who worked alongside us on big projects, in addition to providing us with plenty of financial incentives and encouragements. Unfortunately, he retired last year and gave full control of the company to his business partner. It immediately became a crapshoot. The business partner controlled the administration side of the company, and he was not a painter and didn't understand the work it took. He would overbook clients and overpromise on completion dates, and he never offered us incentives and would only berate us for not getting jobs done quick enough. We tried to tell him that the old boss has always encouraged us to take our time and deliver the best mural, as the company's reputation rested on the quality of the work. We also tried to explain that as artists, we want to be proud of the work that we put out there, and he brushed it off with, "You're paid to finish the job, just get it done." This was incredibly demoralizing, and after 2 months of churning out rushed work, we were burned out and one of our 4 muralists quit. The final straw came 3 months later. Our company won a huge bid to paint the side of a 5-story tall building using my design. I told the boss that it would take us 5 weeks to complete. However, a week before the project was due to start, he told us that we had 3 weeks. We protested, citing that we're down 1 muralist, there'd be safety issues, weather changes, and the complexity of the design. It just wouldn't be possible to do in 3 weeks. He told us the contract had been signed and brushed off the concerns. He did, however, offer us financial incentives for overtime work this time, and knowing there was nothing we could do, we accepted it, and I simplified the design and we planned to stay late. The weather got bad as predicted, and there were a few days of rain where we barely got work done. We fell behind and told the boss that he had to get us an extension. Our client was nice enough to grant another week, but our boss was pissed. He would show up to the job site regularly just to rush us. On the third week, we were working when a light drizzle started, and we were waiting in our cars hoping that it would pass when the boss showed up. The moment he saw us, he started accusing us of being lazy and, quote, "This is why we're falling behind." One of my coworkers said through gritted teeth that, "Can't you see it's raining?" But before we could explain why we can't paint in the rain, he yelled, "If you're scared of a little drizzle, you shouldn't be a muralist. Get back to work." My coworker shot me a look and I knew immediately that the malicious compliance was on. The three of us got back on the scaffolding and began working, and the boss smugly said, "See, was that so hard?" and drove off, and we kept our smiles to ourselves. When our boss returned that afternoon, he was horrified. The rain had washed the wet paint down the building, leaving paint streaks dripping over the rest of the mural. Basically, the whole mural, all 3 weeks worth of work, was ruined. We noticed him staring slack-jawed, but we kept painting, and then he called us down and cursed us out with all sorts of profanity. When asked, "What the were you guys thinking?" my coworker replied, "Well, you were the one who told us to do it." My boss's face turned beet red and he asked, "Well, how are you going to fix this?" And my coworker said, "You mean, how are you going to fix it? We all quit." And indeed, we had, while we were working in the rain. We packed up our tools as the boss went from begging to yelling again. We just ignored him, and that was the last day we were on site, and I felt so relieved the moment I got home. The aftermath. I got a call a week later from my old boss, and I was ready to tell him that I won't come back to work, but it turned out he just wanted to check in on me. He apologized for what happened and told me my new boss lost the contract and had to fork out the money to repaint the whole wall blank again so another muralist could take over. The company is floundering now, and the new boss can't find anyone to replace us and probably never will. What he didn't realize is that finding even one good muralist willing to work for a company is difficult, let alone a team. Most muralists are more than happy to self-employ, and most importantly, not many people have the skills, patience, and physical ability to create beautiful large-scale artworks from great heights. I give it another few months before the company completely shuts down. My coworkers and I still keep in touch because they have a few mural projects in the work from clients that they knew during their time with the company. I help out now and then, but I'm still pretty burnt from the experience, so I'm looking for other jobs now. I just don't know why you would want to be in charge of a business you know literally nothing about, especially if you're not an understanding person. I feel like if you're gonna be in charge of a mural company, the number one thing you have to know about is art and murals. And I feel like it doesn't take anyone who's that much of an expert to realize you can't just run around painting in the rain. I wonder what he ended up telling the library. "Listen, I know I was supposed to paint 5 stories of a mural, okay? But everyone quit on me, so maybe I'll just keep the money from the contract, and it's abstract art now. You know, the paint streaks symbolize society falling apart." And they were like, "Yeah, no, we're not buying that. You're gonna have to pay to repaint it." Not allowed in the store? Fine, I'll comply. This happened a few years ago, and I was sharing the story with some friends, and they suggested I post it here. I used to work at a popular game store where pre-orders are very encouraged. I was the only manager on duty when a customer came in to get their pre-order of a game. The game was Jump Force, and there's 3 editions: regular, special, and collector. If you pre-ordered the special edition, you could pick it up a day early on Tuesday, and it was now Wednesday, and the regular version was released on Friday, or Thursday night, for how my store did it. I already knew people were coming in to pick up the game, and when I clocked in, my store leader told me he called several people to let them know they could pick up the game and left for the day. I was running the store with another employee when one came in to pick up the collector's edition of the game. I told him only the special edition, not the collector's edition, is available for pickup, and he was upset and confused because the special edition is like $80 and the whole collector's edition is $250. To top it off, he pulled out his phone and played a voicemail of the store lead saying to come in and pick it up. Well, hard to argue with that, especially since the store leader got upset last time I didn't give out a pre-ordered item. Long story short, I got in trouble. Had to call the guy to bring it back, and he did bring it back the next day. Again, for the record, the game was released at that point, so there wasn't big issue with the game being out. It was just the addition of the game. A few months go by when our district manager comes in and interrogates me about that day and wanted me to sign a statement saying I cost the company money, and I refused to sign it because it wasn't really my fault. I just did what the store leader said, and the customer brought it back the next day and was specifically asking for employees not to get in trouble. I got suspended and was not allowed in the store until the supervision or suspension was over. Cue malicious compliance. As I said earlier, the company is very big on pre-orders and they push it extremely hard on the employees to have customers pre-order games collectibles. Their entire metrics and programs are meant just to measure pre-order. I like to collect Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and there was a popular set and I pre-ordered 15 of them because I get a discount and I like cards. Well, it turns out I wasn't allowed back in the store to pick up my pre-orders while I was suspended, so I went to another one to pick them up and had them call my store and cancel all the pre-orders. And just pick up all the ones that store had. This completely messed with the store's numbers, and I didn't care. I got fired after my suspension instead of coming back on, but whatever. The store closed down less than a year later, so that's my story with malicious compliance. The guy had a voice recording of your boss saying he was allowed to come down and pick it up. What were you supposed to do in that situation? I'm not understanding why you were on the receiving end of that punishment. You're suspended. You can't even come in here to pick up the stuff that you paid for. I don't blame you, dude. Even if it did ruin their numbers, that's completely their fault. It's a preventable situation. Why is our store doing so bad? Well, maybe if we weren't such idiots, it would be doing better. No, that can't be it, all right? I went to business school. How could I ever fail? Are you kidding me? You think I paid 200 grand for this degree to not know anything? Yes, I do. Please resend my tickets. This past weekend, the dance company I do box office work for had its final show of our season. We do a few runs a year, always renting out a large theater for them, which is separate from our main office building. This means we don't have free access to the physical box office at the theater. We have time frames we can be in there. Fairly standard, but it limits our availability on show days. So my manager set up an automated email for incoming inquiries just saying we're busy, we may be unable to get back to you right away. Again, very standard for our organization. On Saturday, early afternoon, I'm still at home and I check ticket sales in the inbox just to see if there's any super outstanding issues. A woman named Cynthia had sent an email saying she never received her tickets for the show that evening. I roll my eyes, but it's not a real problem. I look her up and she made a purchase earlier that day and had selected that she wanted her tickets emailed. So I just send her a reply saying the ticket should be attached to your order confirmation, but the email may have wound up in your spam folder, so be sure to check there. An hour or so later, I get a response saying that there's only a receipt, no confirmation email. Can you just resend the tickets? At this point, I'm assuming she's likely a senior age patron and has no idea how to work technology. That's fine, it happens a lot, so I just resend the tickets. That'll be the end of it, I figure. An hour or so later, I leave for the theater, not thinking much of it anymore. When I arrive and open up my email, though, I have 5 emails in my inbox that were not there since I last checked. 4 from Cynthia and 1 from my manager. The first email she said was, "No, I don't want that ticket. That was just the test order I did to check to see if I was getting emails. I want the tickets I initially ordered." 6 minutes after that, she said, "Can you please resend?" 3 minutes later, "Resend, please." 8 minutes later, "Please resend my tickets and stop responding saying it may take some time to get back to me." The email from my manager said Cynthia emailed her twice requesting her tickets to be resent, all in that 17-minute time span I listed above. Again, I roll my eyes in a sigh of frustration because this woman never specified she had multiple orders and that instead of trying to contact us first, she just bought another ticket to test things, and then went on to be unclear in her communications. Plus, she clearly doesn't understand what an automatic reply is. But I figured if she wanted to get snippy about it, I'd be petty in return. So I found her real tickets and sent an email with them, and half an hour later, and no response, I resent them. And then 15 minutes later, I sent it again. I resent the tickets a total of 7 times, and I figured at least 1 for each time she asked for them to be sent, right up until about 15 minutes before the show began. When a woman in her mid-40s approached the box office, waving her smartphone with her tickets visible on them. "Hi, I'm I'm Cynthia. I just wanted to know what was wrong with your email and ticket system today. Oh, nothing was wrong, ma'am. Well, I kept trying to get my ticket sent and I kept getting the same message over and over. Yeah, that's our generic automated reply. We set it up for show days in case we can't help someone out on time. She looked sheepish for a moment but recovered. Oh, that makes sense. But why did it take so long to find the right tickets? Well, you had multiple orders and never specified which one it was, so I assumed it was the one made today and didn't really consider the one made in March, and I apologize for not making that connection. Again, a sheepish looks come across her face, but she presses on. But when you did find the right order, why did the tickets keep sending? I got several emails with tickets, one just a couple of minutes ago. Oh, well, you were so eager in emailing earlier, but when I did send the tickets, you never replied, and I wasn't sure if they were getting to you or not, so I wanted to make sure that you were in fact getting them. By this point, she's made all the connections in her head. If she had just been clear and patient with the request, she could have gotten the tickets right away, saved money, because she never asked for a refund for the test order and never had gotten bombarded with so many emails. She thanked me for the assistance and went to enjoy the show while my manager and I just looked at each other and chuckled. Please send me the ticket. Please, please. Except I'm never going to acknowledge that you sent me the ticket, okay? I just don't understand why you would want to send 900 emails, especially if you're getting an auto reply. I feel like at some point the buttons would click in my head and I'd realize that, oh, every time I send this, I'm gonna get another one. I also love that she shelled out more money just for the test ticket. Like, you know, you could have just waited for help to respond, but nay, that would have taken too long, so just get out the wallet and start writing more checks? Is this how their person solves all their problems, you know? Like, their food takes too long at McDonald's, so they just keep repeatedly slamming Benjamins down on the counter? Fine, $800 if the nuggets are out in 27 seconds. Okay, I'll downgrade your computer. This was quite a few years ago, but I used to do IT for a company that was suddenly experiencing rapid growth. This meant many new employees got new out-of-the-box computers, but it also meant they always had to be fully stocked, and the shipping was quick and basically ordered the exact amount of computers required to fill new employee needs. Employees before this obviously had computers that may be a few years old, and this story will feature one such employee. There was basically me and the Excel employee. Excel had noticed many of the newer employees were getting new computers, and he felt upset because he wasn't using one of those. He had actually been upgraded a year before, which was also before this rapid growth. And what was the upgrade? The year before, there was budget to upgrade CAD workstation users to brand new ones. The company bought their equipment outright, so the former workstations could be reused for non-CAD users. For those not familiar, these machines are often higher end as they're used for high-end visual work, virtual machines, etc. Our company paid about $2,500 each for these, and his was one of the repurposed machines. It was currently 2-ish years old and had 16 gigs of RAM, quad-core Xeon processor, SSD, and a video card that didn't really benefit him. What was in the brand new computers? A dual-core CPU, 8 gigs of RAM, and 500 gigabyte non-SSD drive. You can probably guess where this is going. How come most of my coworkers have a better computer than me? I think your computer seems fine, but if you're having performance issues, I could look at it. It doesn't run as quickly as my coworkers. Could you show me exactly what you're doing? He showed me, and he was pretty much inefficiently running his Excel, causing it to be bloaty with overly large file sizes considering it's Excel. He honestly should have a few different Excel worksheets and files for this. This was more of an Excel limitation back then than a hardware issue, and I talked a bit about this and he didn't want to listen. See, it's not running well. See, have you tried doing this? Yes, and it didn't work. Can I get an upgrade? Honestly, your computer is likely better than your colleagues, so I don't think this is gonna help. Would you mind if I helped optimize your files? It's not gonna work. I've tried. Can you get me a different computer? One like my coworkers have? Sure. If your manager sends me an email saying that this is vital to your work, I can have one for you. That would be good. I'll have them email you. At this point, I thought it was done, and as most won't bother their managers about it. If they do not bother their managers, they'll almost never do it. I didn't want to downgrade the guy either, even though he was coming across super arrogant. Unfortunately, I was wrong, and I guess it was in his department's budget or he was doing important work for the department. I already knew this was going to likely happen, so I immediately forwarded the email to my manager. I then called my manager as well and gave him a quick rundown and told him this was obviously going to come back later since he's using Excel wrong and won't listen. Why Why didn't I just have his file used on another employee's computer to show him, you may ask? Privacy and confidentiality reasons. You're only supposed to use your assigned computer except in certain circumstances. So fast forward to him getting his new computer. He failed to get back his data, so I had to help him retrieve it. Also, how long did his new computer last after this before he was upset it wasn't working well? 1 hour. Unfortunately, I was busy because, as I said, the company was growing fast and couldn't run over to help with something of this type of priority. He can do his job, albeit not optimally because of his Excel knowledge. I had him go through the service desk knowing it's coming back to me eventually, and he had to wait for about 2 days. He begged for his other computer back, and at this point I was done playing this game. This was taking way too much of my time and I wasn't swapping it again. Also, that computer was just billed to his department and I don't really want to unassign it and reassign his old one and have it put back in the inventory pool for his department. Do you mind if I can actually test for a minute and see if I can fix the Excel?
It's not gonna do anything. I use this program every day. I know what I'm doing.
Okay, but I need to test it because I don't know if my manager is gonna ask me why I didn't before I swapped again. My manager trusts me and doesn't care, but I need to make it clear this is a requirement without creating conflict as much as him thinking I believe he's lying.
Sure, whatever. I'm gonna go grab a coffee.
Actually, you can grab a chair and stay for a couple minutes. I proceeded to quickly check the Excel file to avoid breaking references and make his basically 10 megabyte file, 32 gigabyte garbage Excel file into 5 different files. Honestly, these files are still pretty crap, but suddenly Excel isn't hanging or freezing for a minute or more anymore.
How did you do that? Is there a way you can combine the files for convenience?
I think you should keep them separate. When a file gets too bloated, Excel struggles to handle it. At this point, about half his department is looking at us, and I can tell a few are trying not to laugh. I think they kind of realized this guy was kind of rude to me before, and this was the cause of his own problem.
Oh, well, okay, I guess.
I stand up and tell him to have a good day and leave, and he didn't even say thanks.
Yes, downgrade my computer. It's a request immediately.
Dude really traded the 3090 for the 1050. Also, I feel like being rude to IT it makes no sense. They're not really gonna do anything wrong to you. And on top of that, if you don't know technology, eventually they're gonna be in a situation like this where they have the ability to make you look stupid. If you're nice to them, they probably won't make you look stupid. But in this guy's situation, it's not that he needed help to look stupid, but he definitely didn't get any favors from the IT department. Overall, I think people being dumb is pretty consistent in terms of malicious compliance, but that'll do it for the video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I'd appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below, and of course, subscribe if you're new. There's a playlist in the description if you want something to listen to while you're gaming, doing your homework, whatever. Feel free to check it out, and on that note, I'll see you guys next time. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'm out. Peace.